when things are going right is when athletes make a lot of mistakes, because that excitement, and this happens on the bike a lot,
Right.
that we all train either indoors or on open roads, like especially Indian athletes. You get to an Ironman event, the swim, you get nice legs, you draft on someone, the weather is nice, and all of a sudden the roads are closed, the road quality is superb, and you start hitting those 30, 32s when coach has told you you're not supposed to extend 27, 28, otherwise you're going to burn out for the run.
Right.
That patience to hold back, to listen, that okay, there's a reason why I've been told this plan. I mean, Ironman is not an easy race. I mean, it's a long race. You will go through moments where if you don't talk to yourself properly, if you don't take care of yourself, with hydration, with proper nutrition, listening to your body that, okay, it's okay to walk, you have ample time, be patient. And these are all skill set we can apply in life. If nutrition is the fourth discipline, mental training is the fifth discipline. And unfortunately, it's the one which is most ignored.
Yeah.
What athletes do not understand is that it's not a switch that comes on the race day. You have to go through the process. You have to go through the visualization. You have to go through the power, the positive self-talk, or whatever technique you choose.
Right.
You have to practice it and then train with it, and you'll realize what works and what doesn't work. And then it will translate to on race day.
I am Baiki Venki, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is a doctor in sports and exercise physiology. 25-time Ironman finisher across 6 continents, Ironman Kona finisher, an Ultraman, a Boston qualified marathoner, ultramarathoner, and an Ironman certified coach. As a relentless athlete and a coach, he is an inspiration and a guiding force to many athletes across the length and breadth of the country. He is none other than the founder of RadStrong Coaching, Dr. Kaustubh Radkar. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, Kaustubh. It is great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And for the kind, introduction as well. I think I'm just a simple guy trying to, inspire as many people to be their best.
Yeah, and I am seeing that you are succeeding in that in a big way. So great job there. So let us start by talking about RadStrong Coaching and the coaching philosophy and your vision for RadStrong Coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I started RadStrong on a whim in 2010. I had done 3 Ironmans, and a couple friends said, hey, they were all doctors working at Johns Hopkins where I was working as well, and they said, look, we need someone to create a structured plan for us. Can you do it? And I just started making Excel sheets and giving them tips, what to do, what not to do. And then 3 became 5. And in 2013, after I moved back to India, I started getting more and more requests. So in 2014, I formalized, RadStrong, created a website, created a logo, all that's needed. And then it's just taken off. We've really expanded. My coaching philosophy is very, very simple. It's that I'm in charge of your plan, regardless you're training for a 1K or an Ultraman or a Deca or whatever that is. I create your plan, I analyze your plans. You have full access to me as a coach. Like I said before, I'm doing this because I want people to take up an active lifestyle. Events and races and marathons and Ironmans are just tools for them. What we are trying to achieve is, my vision is to have as many people exercise on a daily basis for the rest of their life.
Awesome. Now, you yourself, you have done 25 full Ironmans and many marathons. But I'm very curious to know about how the journey of this relentless athlete has started. Your primary sport was swimming, right? When did
Yeah,
that
I mean,
start?
I have a very atypical, journey. I'm 39 years old, but I've been an athlete for 31 years.
Wow.
I started swimming when I was 8 or 9. We just took up swimming as a life-saving skill.
Mhm.
But I was average at it, so it was a good enough exercise that my parents didn't want me venturing into other sports like tennis or cricket. It was something of an activity that both my sister and me did, and I started getting better at it in like 94ish is when I won my first medal at district level. And in 95 I became national champion for the first time. So at Kolkata school nationals,
Mhm.
I won the gold medal in the 400 meters freestyle.
Okay.
Once you taste success at national level, you don't want to let go, you don't want to look back. um,
Right.
and from then the journey became to represent India, and I represented India. And in 2000 I decided, okay, I wanted to take the next step, and I got recruited by a division 2 swimming program in the US. So I swam
Mhm.
for Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And again, I was an average student, I would say. But once I moved, I realized that studying human sciences was unknown passion that was being developed. So that's where my acquaintance with biomechanics and sports science and sports nutrition began as well. After finishing my swimming career in 2004, I'd already got into a very highly competitive master's program. And to
Mhm.
stay fit, I started running. You know, I didn't want to be one of those swimmers who let go and then all of a sudden, you're still eating 4,000 calories a day and not
Right.
exercising. I was middle distance to long distance swimmer. So I wanted to run long distances as well. And in 2006, I landed up running a full marathon for the first time. And then in 2000, I think everyone knows this story by now, is that 2008, no Indian had done an Ironman. I'm sitting in a hot tub in Boulder, Colorado with, Ironman champions, and they're all talking about Ironman and they are telling me you should do it. And that's where this race was introduced to me, and I landed up successfully doing it in 2008. And then again, like I said, it just became a lifestyle. So one became five, five became 10, and now I'm sitting at 25.
Awesome. Awesome. What a journey it is. But you said you completed till 2004 in swimming and then slowly transitioned to running and then triathlon. So was 2008 Ironman triathlon your first triathlon, or did you start with smaller distances and build up to it?
Well, my first triathlon was a half Ironman. I ended up
Okay.
doing it in Buffalo Springs because, look, I was in the best place you could ever be to get trained for a triathlon, which was Boulder, Colorado. I mean,
Right.
Christine Wellington is swimming in the lane next to you, and Miranda Carfree is there, and I mean Wolfgang, who's an Ironman icon himself. Dave Scott is doing masters workouts at 12 to 1.
Wow.
Uh, so I was getting advice from people, and they told me, look, at least get a taste for the sport. Don't just think, Ironman, I'm going to do it on the first day.
Right.
Go for smaller distances. Nutrition is something you have no idea about. Whatever cycling I had done in India couldn't really count as cycling. It was a new bike. Everything was relatively new to me. And so I
Right.
landed up doing a half Ironman first. And then again, couple people told me, look, don't just stop at one half Ironman, do one more, and then you'll be ready for a full. So that's how my journey began. From June to November is when I did my first full.
Okay, awesome. So when it comes to so when did the move to US happen, and so was it primarily for studies, or studies come sports or something?
So what had happened was in 1999, I had my best year in swimming.
Okay,
At the Open Nationals, I had multiple silver medals, multiple bronze medals. Um, but what had happened is that unfortunately, it's still prevalent now. Politics plays a big role, right?
right,
And so,
right.
although I was ranked number two, right? So I was
Yeah.
silver medalist in the 100 freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I should have been on the relay team, and my name was dropped. And the person who replaced me was some guy from Karnataka whose father had paid money.
Right,
So there was the seed of politics, and it's politics in a way that all the athletes from Mumbai were allowed to go to Bangalore. Some were allowed to train in Mumbai for the Indian camp, whereas me, the lone athlete from Pune, had to go to Delhi and stay in a hostel there. And these small things started playing a role, and I was getting frustrated. Fortunately, my parents were there, who said, "Look, if you want to make a career out of this, we'll support you in any which way." And
right.
I had a family friend who had studied in the US. So he sort of told me, look, why don't you start applying to US universities? Let's see what happened. And in 2000, the big decision for me was that my name got dropped from the Asian Games. So I had
Mm-hmm.
qualified for the South Asian Games.
Right.
And all of a sudden, your name is dropped. And then I said, you know what, I'll just quit the sport. And my parents said, no,
Mm.
don't make rash decisions here. I was actually at the Indian swim camp when, remember STD ISD booths?
Correct.
Uh, so I'd called over. This is a very funny story. I'd called home. It was like one of those routine calls, right? So it's supposed to be a 2-minute call because the meter is going, the money is
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
and you want to save that money because you want to treat yourself to a Pepsi or whatever that is. And
Correct.
my mom is saying, no, there's a big envelope that's come for you, and here I'm trying to hurry up, right? Because I want to save as much money as possible. That's my pocket money. And she said, no. So I said, okay, open it. And that's when they found out that there's an American university who's accepted me. And but I was at an Indian camp, so I wrote to them saying, can I join in the spring semester instead?
Right.
And so I landed up leaving for the US on the 4th of January in 2000.
Nice. Okay. And that's where you studied. What did you study there in the university?
So I had my major was exercise science,
Mm-hmm.
and my minor was sort of medicine. So there was some sports medicine involved
Right.
in it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And
But I swam and I studied.
right. That's the main thing. The sports aspect of it was the primary angle, right?
Well, it's still important to know that in the US, as an NCAA athlete, they still expect you to have your GPA, right? So your
Right.
GPA has to be above a certain level, otherwise you're not allowed to compete.
Okay.
I had motivation that the harder I trained, my scholarship went up.
Mm-hmm.
But since I was academically strong as well, if I got good grades, so if I made Dean's List or I became All-American, athletics scholar, then my scholarship went up on that end as well.
Right.
So I had dual motivation, do better in swimming, but academically get stronger as well.
Okay. Awesome. So you have done well both in sport as well as the studies, and got yourself a doctorate, and you started working in John Hopkins, right?
Yeah, 2008, I got recruited by Johns Hopkins, and and then I wanted to. Obviously, Hopkins is a big name in medicine, and they had
Right.
just come up with an MBA program, so I started an MBA there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I converted into the PhD program, so it was a dual MBA PhD degree.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And how did your sport continue or take shape while you were working full time at there?
So I was still doing one Ironman per year, right? Because
Okay.
that's the only time I had. I was working from, let's say 7:30 to 4,
Hmm.
and my classes were from 5:30 to 8:30. Um,
Right.
so I was trying to, not every day, at least 2 or 3 days a week.
Right.
Um, so sport was a good outlet for me to
Right.
to stay focused, stay disciplined.
Hmm.
Um, I really learned a lot about time management
Yeah.
at that time, because you're trying to juggle everything.
Correct.
Plus, you have to do your groceries, you have to do cooking, everything.
Right.
Uh, but those were the best days of my life, because I was so busy. It was always, there was no monotony, right? So you did a morning workout, you went to work, you did a quick half an hour, 45-minute run in between, then you went to class. By the time you came home, you were so exhausted. The cycle just kept on going.
Right.
And people, even now, people laugh at me that I have my dinners at 5:36. Most nights I sleep by 9:15. It's because I have been doing it for so long. It's just habit.
Correct. Correct. Awesome. So what are the some of the things that you learned at that time in terms of time management that you could share?
um like I said, focus on rest and recovery. When you sleep at 9, you are up by 4:30, but you're up fresh.
Right.
uh, you know that was the number one thing. Don't try and miss a workout. That was because if I missed my morning workout, there was no guarantee I would be able to do an afternoon one.
Right.
So that discipline was always there with swimming. But now, you know people get complacent when they start earning money, and I didn't let that happen to myself. Again, like I said, I was studying medicine, working in medicine as well, so I always got to experiment things uh, on myself first, and that has been my biggest differentiator, you can say, from rest of the other coaches, is that I have tried it,
Yeah.
I have refined it, resharpened it on myself, and now I'm sharing it with my mentees or trainees.
Right.
uh, Again, when you brush, I'll give you an example, right? I was in my MBA program. There was this guy called Doug, and he was a veterinary sciences doctor. And in 2009, he told me that we are giving horses glucosamine and chondroitin at that time in higher numbers. And he said, look, you should start taking these supplements, it's good for your bone health. And he literally used to bring me powders. uh, right, and then they made pills out of it. So again, you are sometimes are at the right place at the right time, and you never know who's going to give you that little extra piece of information that is going to keep you injury free, or whatever that is.
Nice. So what are these supplements you said?
It's glucosamine. So now every Indian
Ah,
athlete is taking glucosamine. But the funny way is it was tried and tested on horses. Nobody knows the history of that.
right, right.
So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So you moved back from US to India in what, 2013?
Yeah, 2013 December. Again, I was at a stage in the US where my MBA PhD was done. I was getting job offers. I knew if I didn't at least give India a shot, I probably would have stayed there lifelong. And I
Hmm.
wanted to give India a shot. So I moved back in 2013 December.
Right. And you set up RadRx here to in terms of your profession. So what was the sort of work that was going on there?
So at Hopkins, I was running a lab for them for cardiac care. So we used to take more on the rehabilitation side of people who have heart disease. So any heart attacks, stents, bypass surgeries, any mitral or any valve disease per se.
Right.
Obviously, via exercise and lifestyle management, you want to bring their quality of life up.
Hmm.
And we also started a cancer rehab program that was
Okay.
really picking up, and I moved. So RadRx was my baby in that I was doing rehab here for primarily heart and cancer patients.
Okay, okay. And while all through you have been active in sport and have been continuing your pursuing running and triathlon non-stop, right? So how difficult was it? How does it compare uh, when you were in US and after you came back to India, it like in terms of work-life balance?
Well, when I was full time with RadRx, it was more challenging because you have to be in the office at 9:30. You're there 9:30 to 12:30, and then again from 4 to 7. Um, in patient care, you're expected to be available on the weekends. Sometimes uh, you have to be available in the evenings, especially on the weekends. Um, and that luxury is there with coaching,
Mhm.
and that's why I sort of exclusively became a full-time coach, is because well, how many people are lucky enough that they get to convert their passion into their profession,
Yeah,
right? I'm sitting at home. Like, I think this year is different for all of us, that most of us are working from home, but on average days, pre-corona times also, uh, I was working from home. I didn't really have to go to the office on the weekends, uh, and that flexibility I enjoy. Obviously, I still do a little bit of RadRx work. I still take care of a couple doctors in case someone recommends a patient. I will still go and see them or call them to my office.
right.
Uh, just that coaching has allowed me to really expand my wings much more than the clinic would have.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that was my question as to how difficult was it the decision to move away from the practice and move into full-time coaching.
See, it's I've been very fortunate that my parents have supported me in my journey throughout.
Yeah,
Parents, family, close friends.
right.
So once you have that support, the decision again is yours, but it makes it much easier.
Yeah,
Um, Initial periods are obviously tough when you get going. I started with one athlete when I moved to India. Uh, Likewise, I had just built my patient care that people are really starting to come. So then to just say, okay, I'm going to let go of this. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what's going to bring you inner peace.
yeah,
um, and that answer differs for every single one. uh, at that time for me, like it was leaving the US, right? My boss asked me, why would you want to go back? And I said, if you come and live with me in India, you will understand why I want to go back. So that was the best decision I made. And similarly, becoming a full-time coach was the best decision I made. Look, there's no profession in the world where you will not have those ups and downs. And even with coaching, last year, everyone had those ups and downs. It would have been
yeah,
very easy to sit with a salary, someone's just depositing that money.
yeah.
But these are things in life we all go through. And like I said, that journey has taught me a lot more about myself as well, how I look at coaching, how I look at life.
Definitely, definitely. All right. So, talking of ups and downs, I'm sure through these 25 full Ironman events and number of other events that you have taken, uh, there would have been lots of ups and downs. But which will you rate as your best event in all of these events where you couldn't do anything wrong?
So the first one, obviously, Ironman Arizona was just, I mean, things kept on going wrong, but I
Mhm.
just found ways to overcome them. I had not taken, I'll give you an example. I had not taken a wetsuit, and the water was very cold. But again, I was there rubbing shoulders with Michael Lavato and Chrissy Wellington, and they said, look, you got to give this boy a wetsuit. They told Blue 70, trust us. And I wore a demo wetsuit, and then I landed up having the course record for the swim.
Wow.
Right on the bike, I had a 47:30 swim. So that was a mistake on my part. But I had a shoulder injury, so I had not wanted to wear a wetsuit. On the bike, I had two punctures, but I still found ways to fix them. Uh, on the run, all my friends said you looked very, very happy. So that was one race where, although things went wrong, that event was flawless for me.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. But there would also be some events where uh, the difficult situations would actually feel really difficult, and you would stare at DNF, but you would have pulled through and finished it. Were there any such events that come in mind?
Yeah, I mean, Ironman Kona is a great example, right? So that's that's supposed to be your best event. It's the world championship. You've trained really hard. I mean, I was living in the US away from marathon. I've done everything right. Get to Kona, and my bike is broken, and there's no Scott, uh, dealership there. So they sort of fix my bike. A lot of people had told me to sort of fight in the water and try and get a good position, and I was trying to do that, but I just got kicked and punched too many times, and I gave up. And the swells were big, so I had a lousy swim by my standards. I landed up drinking a lot of water, which then transformed into a lot of nausea and vomiting on the bike. Plus, I had to literally get down every few kilometers and fix that little part. uh, so I had a miserable bike. It would have been very, very easy to just say, what, I want to stop. And I pulled into transition, and I couldn't even in run from into T2 when I parked my bike to get into the changing tent for the run. And I knew I was going to be having a long walk jog day, but that's what happens. For me, I landed up meeting another guy who was an accountant from New York. He was in the same situation as me. And we just sort of kept on pulling each other that we'll run from one light pole to the next, then walk, then jog, whatever we could do. Uh, I had a lot of friends who quit. A lot of professionals quit that year as well.
Mhm.
Uh, so there were moments where I went into some dark places, but I found ways to come out of it. And that has been my slowest Ironman till date. But that is one race which really taught me a lot about myself. So yeah, I mean, Ironman is not an easy race. I mean, it's a long race. You will go through moments where, if you don't talk to yourself properly, if you don't take care of yourself, with hydration, with proper nutrition, uh, listening to your body that, okay, it's okay to walk. You have ample time. Be patient. And these are all skill set we can apply in life as well, right?
Right, right.
So yeah, it's sometimes okay to have. For me personally, my failures have taught me a lot through swimming, through running, and now through Ironman. So it's okay to have these bad races once a while, because they keep you humble and grounded as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned about the mental talking to oneself and the importance of uh, pulling through. So what sort of you know what is your opinion? What is the importance of mental strength training for endurance sports, and what sort of mental training do you suggest?
It's, if nutrition is the fourth discipline, mental training is the fifth discipline. And unfortunately, it's the one which is most ignored.
Yeah.
um, what athletes do not understand uh, is that it's not a switch that comes on the race day. You have to go through the process. You have to go through the visualization. You have to go through the power, the positive self-talk, or whatever technique you choose.
Right.
You have to practice it and then train with it, and you'll realize what works and what doesn't work, and then it will translate to on race day. uh, for me, I try and do that with my athletes a lot, that I try and give them something to work on. And it's good to see that people who take it seriously, uh, even if they are having a bad day, which everyone is entitled to, they
Right.
sort of find ways to come out of it. And then there's others who take it lightly, and then boom, it's like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan till you get punched in the face. And then I tell them that I was telling you, you're going to get punched in the face at one point. You just didn't pay attention to it. So mental training plays a very, very important role. Uh, for me, my swimming was a big mental training. It's meditative for me. If I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having a really good day, I go for a swim, because I really calm down in the water. I know what I really want to focus on.
Right. So you mentioned visualization and positive self-talk, and so do you suggest any specifics in terms of visualization? Like some people look at uh, what could possibly go wrong. What are the scenarios that could go wrong, and then look at what are the things that I would do in case this goes wrong. Would that be a one of the techniques that you would suggest as well?
Absolutely. And for Ironman athletes, I always tell them, think about it that you're having a puncture, because that is
Right,
one thing that gets everyone flustered, right?
right.
How will you put yourself out of that situation?
Hmm.
Because nobody wants a puncture, but at some point it's statistic, right? At some point you will have a puncture. You will have to deal with yourself. And I'll give you an example of myself. I think that was my 20th Ironman in Malaysia. I got
Mhm.
3 punctures. Actually,
Wow.
I got 4 punctures. I got one on the front, I got 2 on the back. I ran out of tubes. So I had to wait for the mechanical van to come and bring me a tube, and I lost almost 45 minutes.
Right.
Again, this is something you don't plan for, but it happens. And because
Yeah.
I had practiced, I knew what to do. I knew how to stay calm. Most
Yeah.
people know how to fix a puncture, but in that
Right.
little moment, their heart starts racing. They keep looking at the watch. So
Yeah.
practice
Yeah.
all these things, and visualize that. I always tell people, visualize 2 things. Go through the race as if something is going to go wrong on the race. It could be that
Mm.
your goggle comes down in the swim. How will you fix it? And then what you do is go through the race as if nothing is going to go wrong. So you
Right.
have how you deal with on both sides.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. That is the both sides of things is important, right? How when it go, what will you do? How will you deal with it when it goes wrong? And
Yeah.
what are the things that you will do to make sure that things go right? That is very, very,
Venki,
yeah.
when things are going right is when athletes make a lot of mistakes, because that excitement, and this happens on the bike a lot,
Right.
that we all train either indoors or on open roads, like especially Indian athletes. You get
Right.
to an Ironman event, the swim, you get nice legs, you draft on someone, the weather is nice, and all of a sudden the roads are closed, the road quality is superb, and you start hitting those 30 32s when coach has told you you're
Yeah.
not supposed to extend 27 28, otherwise you're going to burn out for the run.
Right.
That patience to hold back, to listen, that okay, there's a reason why I've been told this plan.
Right.
That is a very common mistake athletes make, and that's again your positive self-talk comes back saying that okay, it's okay, I will hold back right now so that I will have something better on the run.
Right. That is very important, right? The pacing. It is iron when it comes to Ironman or even shorter events. The
Yeah.
triathlon is basically a time trial, a long time trial, and
Yeah.
pacing is key for that.
Yeah, and the point I want to make is that mental fitness applies when you're having a really good day as well. That good athletes tell themselves, I want to hold back. I know I'm having a phenomenal day,
Yeah.
but I want to save my energy for the run. It's
Yeah.
not just about the bike.
Yes. Not
and
just.
and it
Yeah.
happens a lot of times that people blaze out on the bike and then you see them walking the marathon.
Yeah. 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 That it's a very important point. Saying. The mental training needs to apply both when things are going right as well as the things are going wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
Great, great, great. So when it comes to were there any in all the events that you have taken place in uh, over the years, were there any DNFs in any events you participated in?
I've
How
had
do
one
you deal?
DNF
Okay.
at Ironman Malaysia 2015. I crashed off the bike,
Okay.
broke the bike. I crashed at kilometer 12.
Wow.
Uh, so broke my wrist, fractured my elbow, fractured my shoulder. Um, the back derailleur broke,
Mm.
um, and I was bleeding all through. I still made it to 90 kilometers on the bike on a single speed after losing
With
almost after losing 45 minutes to 1 hour waiting for the bike mechanics and the medicine people to come. I had 4 hours left to do the remaining 90K, but I couldn't even press the brake. Uh, and I told myself it's okay. There'll be other races. I probably would have done something stupid that day, gone again on the second loop. Who knows what would have happened? Malaysia is
right,
not an easy course. There's a lot of sharp uphills and sharp downhills that come with it.
right.
So that was my only Ironman DNF. But hands on, I made the right decision that day.
Yeah, I mean, crashing at 12 kilometers and then going till 90K with broken wrists and all sounds really, really badass. That is
Well,
something.
it's at that time you still have hope that you can finish, and at 90, I still had hope. I had 4 hours, ample time.
Hmm.
Just that, like I said, I couldn't even press the brake on the right side, and I said, you know what,
Yeah,
it's not worthwhile.
yeah. But when you prepare so well for an event, it's not just your trainees and anyone who prepare for months and months together for an event, and when they eventually had to DNF, it is a lot of disappointment, right? How do you suggest that, how do you deal with it, and how do you help the trainees deal with things?
Um, One of the most important tools I've added uh, to my coaching journey is being empathy, showing
Right.
empathy towards trainees.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a DNF, right? Nobody trains for an event saying, okay, well, I'm going to have a DNF. No. If you do
Yeah.
the training, more than likely you will succeed. But we are human.
Right.
There are things beyond our control that happen. Uh, Fortunately, I've only had 2 or 3 trainees who have had a DNF, and it's okay. Get their mindset that it's okay to have a DNF. We'll train again, we'll train harder, and then come back stronger. Now, does everyone take that advice? No. There are people who feel that no, I should not have had a DNF. I'm going to go stronger, and they'll end up putting themselves into a hole. Like I said, I try and tell people it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We are not professionals here. You do not lose thousands of dollars because of this DNF. Yeah, it would have got you a few more hundred likes on social media, but it's okay. There's the next time, and there'll be one more. So deal with it. But I apply that in my coaching, especially over the last year. I've realized that we have to show empathy towards our trainees as well. It's okay to have them take a few days off for their mental well-being, and I do the same myself. Is that I've taken almost a week off that I'm not going to exercise. My mental well-being is very, very important in these crucial times, and I just want to take a break. So you start off, put the seeds in them that you have to do what's best for you that particular day, and if you're able to overcome that, then life will be a breeze.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is what is your race day nutrition and hydration like for an event like Ironman?
So nutrition is something now I have it dialed down. I know exactly what I want to eat in the morning ever since I wake up. And then during the event as well, right? So I always start with a light breakfast, couple pieces of toast with peanut butter or and jelly, a yogurt, and I used to eat a banana, but that doesn't sit well with me over a period of time. So I'll have a protein bar or a power bar, not a protein bar, like a power bar,
Mm-hmm.
uh, plus black coffee. That really gets me going. As soon as I leave the house, sit in the car, or start walking, I start sipping on Gatorade, um, so that when I'm in transition, I can use the loo. I've started my electrolyte journey as it is. Um, Before the swim, I don't eat anything anymore. That breakfast takes me through the swim. As soon as I come out, I rely on your typically your gels, whatever is available on the course. Sometimes they have bananas, sometimes they have oranges, whatever that is, and electrolytes, right? So a lot of endurance racing is all about your electrolytes and your salt. So manage
Mm-hmm.
that. Keep adding water, and on the run, it's usually like it used to be like a breakfast buffet. I don't know what it's going to be like now. So you have bananas, you have fruit, you have salt, you have pretzels, you have chips, you have chocolate. Plus you have Coke. I really love Coke on the run. So my nutrition plan, fortunately, is very, very simple, and it's really dialed down now over 25 races.
Yeah.
Again, advice is try it on your training, see what works for you. Everyone's plan is going to be different. Yeah, you have those simple formulas that we have come up with, that you're probably looking at 60 grams of carb for over the period of time, plus one salt tablet or whatever that is.
Right.
Play in those boxes, but see what works for you.
Right. 60 to 90 grams, depending on the weights and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So, what are some of the tips you would give working athletes to do well in sport while doing well at work and families?
um I think I'll tell people, number one, have a plan
Yeah.
for yourself, what you want to achieve, how you want to go about it. If you're working with a coach or a mentor, it's okay. It's You can discuss that. Important part is to have a discussion with your family,
Mhm.
because you will be making a lot of sacrifices. Create rules for yourself. That's one thing I'm really big on. And my rule is I'm not available on the weekend to any of my trainees. Weekend is my time. I will not look at WhatsApp. I will not look at Instagram. We're not doing any life or death situations here. If in doubt, take the day off, come back on Tuesday. It's okay. I, as a coach, completely understand. But you have to set these limitations for yourself, because as athletes we take a lot of time away from family. So for me, giving time to my son, who's behind me, I'm trying to get him to appear here, but he's a little shy for some reason today. Is very, very important. So we play football or play basketball, watch a movie with him or whatever that is.
Right.
um, have a goal is very, very important. Write it down, whatever you want to achieve, and then keep working on it. Once you achieve, go to the next one. That is also very, very important for me, that I only work on one goal at a time, right? So when I made the decision that I wanted to qualify for Boston, that was the only goal I worked on. Everything else was supplementary. So my
Right.
focus became running. Swimming and cycling were just building the building blocks, just in case the world open up and Ironman race happened, I would be ready to go. But
Right.
have one goal. A lot of times, especially Ironman athletes, make the mistake that I want to train for an Ironman, and on the side I also want to achieve qualifying for Boston. Very, very minute percent of people are able to achieve that, because those two are such specific and vast goals
Right.
that you need to to give yourself that benefit of doubt. Work on one goal, knock it off, go to the next one. um yeah, I mean, I just enjoy life. Majority of us are doing this to stay fit, to have a great quality of life. And don't I mean, last year has taught us that races are not the only thing that's necessary to keep going. Trust the process. and enjoy the process. If you're able to enjoy it, you'll be able to race till you're 60, 70, whatever that is.
Right. Awesome. There,
He's
there
trying
is.
to. There he is. Tell your name.
Hello.
Say your name.
Vedant.
Veda.
So yeah, this guy takes up a lot of my time and energy now.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot, Kaustubh. This has been a great chat. It was really great to know your journey, and thanks for taking the time to share your experiences with the audience. Really appreciate your
my pleasure.
time.
Thanks a lot for having me.